All in favor, or all present, please state your name.
Brian Keeley.
Sister Paula Rose Yarnick.
Charles Davis.
Ralph Taylor.
Mary Mack.
Do I have to have a motion to bring the,
No, you're good. You can move on to the next one.
moving on to the next. So do I have a motion to approve or disapprove the meeting for April 10th, 2023?
I motion we approve it. I second it.
I have a motion, I have a second to approve the minutes of 2023-0410. All in favor, say aye with your name and your vote.
I, Brian Keeley.
I, Sister Paula Rose.
Aye, Charles Davis.
I, Ralph Taylor.
I, Mary Mack.
Motion carries. Meetings are approved. Moving on to number 3. Turn it over to you, young lady.
Okay, I will make this brief. Vice Chairman Ralph Taylor had requested at our last meeting that he wanted to see the income limit guidelines that were gonna be new coming out, and you all agreed. So I have provided the there's 2 sheets in front of you, 2022 income limits and 2023 income limits, and I highlighted both of those in green. These sheets look identical, other than the fact that the figures are different and the years indicating. So currently, right now, we're going by the 2022 income limits. Those were the income limit guidelines put out by HUD effective April 18th of 2022. And then now our new income limit guidelines, the 2023 figures you see in front of you, are effective June 15th, 2023, so just in a couple days here. So we'll be updating the applications and what have you. These are the guidelines we go by. And to just kind of break it down a little bit more for you, this is gross income. You'll see on the 2022 income limit guideline, the persons in family with the amount of 4, those numbers are bolded. So I'll just use those as an example for both sheets. So highlighted in yellow for the 50% income limit, that's the median income. So for a household of 4 people to be deemed low income with our programs, that's $48,400 of a gross income for the family. For moderate, for the 4, would be $77,450. So that's what we've been operating on until here in a few days. We will then be going over to the 2023. And as you can see, for each number of persons in the family, those limits do obviously go up. And between each number of family category, you're going up about approximately $2,000 to $3,000 for each one. So, and that's what it typically does, growing with the cost of living and other components that HUD puts into place. They go through a lot. I'm not going to try to pretend that I know all the details, but they do have a breakdown on HUD Exchange explaining how they get to these figures that they do. Leavenworth City themselves do not have their own financial income limit guidelines. We go by the Kansas City metro area as indicated below. So that's where we're sitting at. So that'll give you a little bit of information that you wanted to see. Does anybody have any questions about those?
I forgot, what is the fair, or the percentage of rent if you're living in a low-income housing? Is it a third, or what is the rent? I mean, the percentage that each person pays according to their income?
Yeah, that part would not be fair for me to comment on because nothing with my position here with the city
We don't.
entails with that. But I could get you that answer. I could talk to Public Housing Authority and I can get you that.
I just wondered that I know that the shelter has been, the Welcome Central works with a lot of people to get them into housing, and I haven't been there since COVID, so I can't remember how we help negotiate that percentage of income for low.
And I do believe that Sister Vicki Perkins was utilizing that formula for Leavenworth attainable housing as well. And that may very well be spot on, but I just caution confirming that. But I will find out from Public Housing Authority and I'll email you.
Oh, it doesn't, I can get it from Vicki.
Okay. Okay. Are you okay if I move on to number four?
Absolutely, please. Absolutely. Number 4.
Okay, so I know that I've shared a lot of information about Radon and what's kind of led to one of the reasons that we're here today, so I won't go through all of that again. I'll spare you for having to listen to it all over again, but I do want to share one little tidbit here. This is a federal regulation, 24 CFR 58.5 I2I and II. Break down and advise that all properties that are being proposed for use in HUD programs be free of hazardous materials, contamination, toxic chemicals and gases, and radioactive substances. It is also to ensure that occupants of proposed sites are not adversely affected by any of those hazards listed. So before I had given you some information about the open public comment period about radon that HUD was having back in April. So this is what they were referring to, was this federal regulation that they actually want to make sure that radon is going to be specifically named in this. So I had also given out some other radon literature if you were aware or not of what it is and how dangerous it can be and whatnot. So in order for us to make sure that we get compliant, because we already know radon is a toxic gas, and just because it doesn't specifically say radon in there right now, we need to be acting as appropriate, that we're treating that and doing the best that we can. So having said that, I have done a lot of work and a lot of research trying to figure out what's the best economic yet compliant and doing right by our citizens who are applying for this program, and what all can we do. And I've really gone back and forth a lot. I also consulted with Beth Held. She's the HUD Regional Environmental Officer, and I discussed this scenario with her, and she approves of it. And she's definitely the person to go to if you want to make sure that you're doing things right with this. So our next program year that starts July 1st, what I'm going to be doing is start conducting an analysis of all of the folks that apply for the home repair program and are qualified. I'm going to start doing an analysis and gathering the information. I'm going to do the testing in their homes and always keep documentation of that on file, of course, and all the way down to the brand of the test and whatnot. I did find out, and I did have it confirmed from her, I don't have to pay for a professional to go out and do that testing right now. I can abide by manufacturer's instructions. And so I did find a program, and this was my best case scenario here. This was great. So Kansas State Leavenworth County Extension Office is in the old Cushing building. So they do have tests for approximately $5 to $6 that also includes the packaging to mail the test off to Alpha Energy Labs in Carlton, Texas. 3 to 5 days after they receive it, I can get the results via email. So this would be part of the environmental review that is individualized for each home that we do, that the city needs to make sure that are conducted for all these homes, abiding by that regulation that I just gave you. So right now, that's what I'm going to do going forward. It is reputable lab, it is reputable test. Like I said, K-State puts them out, and so it's even cheaper than going to buy them at Home Depot or whatnot. We may possibly get to a point where we have to hire professionals to do it, but right now, at this moment, it is okay, and I did double check that we can do these. I'll just have to make sure that we're doing it correctly, reading the manufacturer's guidelines.
Let me ask you a question on that point. Who would be responsible for having that test done? radon test done?
I will.
Okay.
Yep, I will. So when I go out to do an initial inspection, like say somebody wants to have their furnace replaced, they feel like it needs to be replaced. I make an appointment with inspections here. They go out with me to the home and we do before pictures and the inspector gives me their professional opinion about what they think is going on. Does it need to be replaced or just repaired or what have you? So at that point in time, I would be placing the test in the lowest part of the home and abiding by manufacturer guidelines, and it would stay there for 24 to 48 hours. And then I would have to go back and pick it up and mail it off. So then at that point is when I get those results, then if it's under 4, I hope I don't mutilate this word, picocuries is the measurement. If it's under 4, then we're good. We don't have to do anything. I'll document those lab results. If it's over, then we have mitigation to be concerned about, right? So that comes with this. I am requesting the Community Development Advisory Board to vote on allowing a $1,000 additional award or allowance, if you will, to each home that ever does come back with more than 4 picocuries level of radon for mitigation. And what that would be is, for instance, right now, low-income persons in the home can receive up to $10,000 worth of repairs or work done. This would mean that if their test came back, right, that they needed mitigation because it's unsafe in the home, there would be a $1,000 awarded allowance there to help mitigate. And if there's not, then, you know, that's not an additional.
Only when it's needed.
Mm-hmm. And having said that, I don't know if you would like to have a little bit further information or not before you vote on that. In regards to the raising the amount of awarded funds for home repair, I did want to share with the fact that I have had shared before that we had 7 homes. I now have 8 homes this program year that we are doing home repair on. 3 out of the 8 had to take an interest-free loan from our local housing trust to make up the difference in regards to what they were awarded. One of them was relatively small. It was under $300, but the other 2 went into $2,000 and one of them at about $1,400. And those were both roofs. And and these are not majorly large homes. So I'm seeing on average from multiple contractors approximately $11,000, $10,000, somewhere around there for a roof is not unheard of. That's pretty much the average. So like I said, we do have some funds in that local housing trust that we're able to set up interest-free loans or whatnot with an additional lien until that's paid in full. But I know we've also discussed the possibility of, is that really necessary? Do we want to reconsider raising the amount of availability? So there were 2 questions that were posed before. Did we want to do a flat rate, just as long as you were moderate income, and lower, one flat rate, or did you want to keep the moderate at 8,000 and just raise the low income? At a minimum, I would suggest raising the low income qualified applicants to at least 12,000, which would potentially mean that they could also get $1,000 for mitigation if needed, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, raising it to about 12 or 13,000 plus that additional would be helpful. Or you don't have to do the radon allowance at all. You could just, do it all, one amount, but Those are my suggestions. Not everybody's gonna need the radon mitigation, and not everybody's gonna need $12,000.
So they get the loan through you guys? You guys do the loan? You said, they would have, so you guys handle the loan? And they make payments to you on that loan until it's paid in full?
Yeah, the local housing trust funds, there's a little bit of money in that
Gotcha.
account. So, for example, we had a woman at the very beginning of the program year, got a roof done, $2,000 had to be, because she was approved for 10, the roof was $12,007.
Okay.
So she's making monthly payments, set up for what she advised she could. It's an interest-free loan, but there is an additional lien in place until that one is paid in full. It would make situations like that she wouldn't have had to turn
Right,
to that.
gotcha.
Let's say we went to the 12,000 and case by case base. If they didn't need the 12,000, does that go back into?
Oh, if they didn't need the full 12,000?
Yeah, if they didn't need the full 12,000.
Absolutely, absolutely, because, for example, just randomly, I have a home that was low income, and they only needed $5,386 worth of work done this last year. And that was for partial roof, so.
So if they need other work done, they could use that other 5,000 or however much that's still in that fund for them? Is that what it is?
They could, if there were situations and
Okay.
circumstances in their home that actually, that actually needed it, yes.
So it's a cumulative,
Okay,
if,
gotcha.
if needed.
Oh,
If it-
Yeah.
for asking that question.
Yes, and just a reminder, once they use this program, right now, the way that the guidelines are set is once they use this program, if they use up to $2,000, they can't use the program again for another 10 years.
Right, exactly.
So that's why, maximizing as much as possible without going over and creating issues, trying to make it the most safe and healthiest as you can right now
Okay, thank you.
is a good approach.
Just so I'm clear, raising those limits, we're not taking any money from any other coffer, for lack of a better term. I don't have
Nope.
a better term set up, but, so we're not taking away from any other program, any other pot of money. It would literally just authorize that increase.
Because on average, right now, you voted for 2023 funds, right? You guys had voted for the annual action plan for $90,000 of the entitlement to go towards home repair.
Right.
Right? So and I think our goal was 10. So that would automatically mean that only 9 homes would get it, right? But there is a fluctuation, because like I said, there's other homes where there's only 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 that was used. It kind of averages out. I mean, you're never gonna get to a point where everybody's always maximizing that. Otherwise, you're creating a whole bunch of extra bills for these families.
Right.
And a lot of times when it comes to furnace and air and hot water tanks, it's usually on emergency
Right.
Yeah,
basis,
absolutely.
that they need it. It really is the roof that tends to go up that high. And also, being it is, if we were able to raise the limit and perhaps offer a radon mitigation allowance, it could also give us some more information in that analysis to know how to move and go forward.
Right.
Because some of the information I gave you from the last meeting is that we are helping less amount of people. But that's not because our guidelines got stricter or harder. There's just less homeowners here that apply for the program regardless of how much it's advertised and whatnot, that try to utilize the program. So there is a significant less amount, and so we may, need to look at the idea of, is our goal 10 and is our goal really maybe 7 or 8 a year to use more? We can utilize this next year to evaluate that.
Right.
Times change and things change, just like, you know, fair market housing, I mean, this is gonna be, falling into the same theory. So, so yeah, it would come down to if, I'm asking if you would vote on that allowance or,
It's an amendment to the plan, is that right?
no, it doesn't have to be an amendment to the plan.
Okay.
To the annual action plan. If I do have any amendments to make to the annual action plan or the 5-year consolidated plan, I will bring that up in September when we come together for the caper.
Okay, I got you.
But also utilizing the information that we conduct going forward with this year could also potentially change that. But I'll obviously communicate with you that our citizen participation plan advises that you will be advised and city commission if we make substantial amendments. But right now, this is just some program guidelines that we don't have to amend.
Well, I think that's fair.
So the question is twofold. You want to know whether we want more information.
If you want more information to make a decision,
Right.
sure, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
The two things that I'm asking for the board to vote on and decide is, number one, if going forward in this next program year that starts July 1st, can we have a $1,000 radon mitigation allowance, if you will, that is $1,000 beyond what they would be awarded? And some situations won't be that way. You know, there's some folks that had like $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 worth of work done. If they come up with a reading that requires mitigation, and you know, let's say it's $700 to mitigate, I mean, you're not even touching that.
Right.
So
Is the average mitigation the 1,200 and to 2,500 we talked about last time, or is that?
that's what I had a couple of contractors tell me over the phone, but I've also spoke with some realtors this morning that I trust very much.
Okay,
And they told me that was very high
okay.
and gave me some suggestions of some other folks. So
Because contractors.
Because
yeah, I would, yeah, I would have to find contractors that would be willing to,
Do it at that rate.
well, no, I wouldn't be asking them to do it at a certain rate. I would have to find contractors that have a UEI in place that make sure they're not debarred and, be able to have them bid on it.
Gotcha.
I could have considered doing an RFP and sending that out, but we just don't do enough business to, really necessarily make that all worth that need. But who knows what we're gonna find this next program year? That's the whole thing of creating an analysis to figure out what are we seeing and what do we need to do to go forward.
what was the most expensive roof? You said it was total of 12,000.
$12,007.
Okay, so when, God, I hate talking out loud and proposing, but wouldn't you say like you would raise it to at least 13, because you never want to have these people be stuck in a position where they then have to go get a loan and then pay
No.
that back on
Yeah,
something.
that's the idea.
Right.
Exactly.
So currently it's what?
10,000.
10,000.
And if you pegged out the max, it's the high water mark at $12,007. I mean, you would assume that would probably happen again. I mean, all things being equal.
Yeah. And I don't want you to have the impression of feeling like the contractors are gonna be looking at that as, oh, well, I know that program can go this high. The HUD regulations are very clear. You know, they want me to have a minimum of 3 bids, and the lowest bid that has all of the qualifications and to do all the scope of work gets it. So, if they go, if they're the highest one, I honestly haven't really run into that. I think we have some good contractors, and I've also recruited 2 more new contracting companies, so pretty happy with them.
Your fault. I mean, if the, yeah, I totally agree. I'm sorry, I was on a different train of thought.
Good.
So I digress, but if good contractors, everything's going, but if you have the 13,000 and say your limit's at 12,000, then you are relying on this loan program that, I don't know where that money comes from, that funding, is that?
That's actually local housing trust funds. that.
It's like an endowment or something like that, that,
It's actually funds when somebody pays off a lien early or what have you. The funds go in there as long as it doesn't reach over $25,000 receipted in a program year. HUD does not require us to send it back and pay them back. Some of you that have been, I think Ralph Charles and Sister Paula Rose, Brian, you may have been on this board, I'm not sure. During COVID, you all have voted on taking a very large amount of money out of that program,
I
or
remember
out of that,
I do.
Yes.
to give towards the warming shelter.
Yep.
You know, most of the funds are expended out of that account. There's still some funds in there. And I apologize, should have had that figure ready for you, but I do think that there's approximately $30-something thousand in that account. So here's the thing, if 3 out of our 8 every year always had to turn to that, right, it would just like continue to deplete.
so you don't want to rely on something that won't.
Now, they do pay it back, but you know, there are circumstances in which sometimes unfortunately citizens pass away or something of this nature, and sometimes a judge could have the right to write off the lien, right, because another company came in and bought the home. I mean, those things happen. Just because there's a lien in place doesn't always mean you get it recouped.
I think Brian has a good point for his rating to 13,000. I mean,
I do too.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with him.
I got my inspiration from Ralph, just to be clear.
That's a great point, though.
But I would agree with Ralph, yeah.
Mutual admiration.
And then would you throw the 1,000 on top of that? And that's an allowance of, if you don't use it, then,
It just stays in the program.
yeah.
But it's also the same thing, if low-income persons were awarded up to $13,000, then, you know, if they're only using 7, well, that's fine, that other amount remains in the account. That doesn't mean that we have to spend that all.
I just can't imagine having somebody be in the position where they're stuck with, they gotta get a loan in order to make the thing work.
Yeah.
When there's a funds there, it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
Yes, it's a matter of, hence exactly why I'm here with you,
Yes.
asking for this, yes. Yeah, because I certainly wouldn't, just with seeing the price of the roof, it really is roof work right now that we do, that gets to that. And I don't think that contractors are being unfair, it just legitimately really is how much it's costing.
Yes.
The labor and the cost and everything has gone up a lot. And so with the moderate, did you all want to discuss leaving that at 8,000, or did you want to raise that?
Are you seeing any trends there at all? I guess that would be the question.
This last program year, I had one family that was of moderate, and their amount came to $61,000.
61,000?
Or I'm sorry,
Okay.
6,100, 6,100, apologize.
She's to us for a loop.
Yeah,
Mark me down as moderate.
yeah. Yeah, so that was, but the thing is, we don't have a crystal ball and we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't know if next week I get 3 applications, right? We don't, I mean, we just don't know how it's gonna be.
Right.
I wish I did, but I really just don't know.
I mean, if we have the money to give, let's just raise it to 10,000.
So 10,000 for moderate,
10,000 for
13,000
moderate,
for
13 for
low.
low income.
and then a $1,000.
Radon.
Radon.
Okay,
I mean, that's,
That seems.
I don't need any more information. I don't think anybody else does either, based on what the feedback.
what we've heard. I mean,
Yeah.
great.
I'd absolutely love to take a vote whenever you're ready to.
That's up to
proceed.
you all. I'm ready. I love that plan.
That's fine.
Any additional thoughts, questions?
No, I think that's, yeah,
I think it's fair.
I think it's, yeah, I think it's
I'm
the
good.
best,
Fair.
best effort, yeah.
So Julie, walk me through what we need voted on.
$10,000
10 for moderate.
Need a motion.
home repair program award for moderate to be $10,000. for low would be $13,000 and a $1,000 radon mitigation allowance if needed.
Can I lump that all into one vote?
You bet.
Do I have a motion for those specific items?
I'll make the
I don't need to articulate those, do I?
No?
Okay.
Somebody, the first one that brings it up, Brian, were you writing that down?
Yeah, so, I guess I would like to make a motion to, increase the,
Home repair program?
home repair program for moderate income from, it was 7,000, you said?
8 to 10.
8 to 10,000, and then the low income from 10 to 13, and then a $1,000 allowance for radon mitigation, for both of those, income levels. I believe that's correct. That's all right.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. That's a
What do
good
you
motion.
second?
I can't repeat all of that. What he said.
All in favor with your vote by name?
I, Mary Mack.
I, Ralph Taylor, yes, on all the above.
Aye, Charles Davis.
Aye, Sister Paula Rose.
Aye, Brian Keely.
Motion carries. Changes voted in favor of. Back to you, young lady.
And I will, just so you know, I will make that effective June 15th. When these HUD income limits are updated, our applications will all be updated online as well.
I assume that's something we'll look at on a continuous basis. Like, next year, we have the exact same issue, we would presume.
Maybe not.
Okay.
I mean, some of some of the figures and stuff that I've been sharing with you were
Yeah.
kind of what I saw towards the tail end when I came in to this position in March of 2022, when looking at that. So
It's just,
maybe not. We may have gotten to an area where we've kind of flatlined for a while in regards to costs of some of these services, but the HUD income limit guidelines, they always are updated every year, and they do go up as of a certain date. So, okay, and so
Number 6.
yeah. So we do, I brought it up at the last meeting too, we do have 4 folks that, their 3-year term is coming up. So it'd be Mike Seifert, Charles Davis, Sister Paula Rose, and Brian Keely. And so I would love to hear from you, at a time when it's convenient for you, that you are okay with me letting, the city clerk know that we would like city commission to just revote you in for another 3-year term. So that would happen in August. So, and if you need any encouragement to stay on the board, you just give me a call.
Can we tell you now?
If you would like to, yes.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Okay,
yeah, I'm okay.
great, thank you.
All right,
I love it, thank you very much.
yes, thank you.
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
I can't have Ralph taking all the glory. Him and his good ideas.
No.
Okay, you'd like to,
What other matters? Any other matters?
we do have one. We do have one, and I have provided some information that came in the aftermath when I sent you the agenda. I had sent you the expected budget form. It probably looks very familiar to you. You had looked at a lot of this information when you voted on public service agencies being funded. So there in the green column highlighted is the amount that you all voted on for the public service agency award for each of those agencies. You do see one of them missing now, and that was their decision. And we do appreciate the fact that they advised that they were unable to keep the compliance, and I do very much so respect them for advising that, because that is very important. So we appreciate that, because that keeps the integrity of the program and the compliance of the federal regulations that have to be abided by. Having said that, now through $8,642.60 back into the pot of public service agency funding. So that column directly to the right of the green, based upon how you all had voted on the funds by dividing them all equally, I threw this out for conversation purposes. I'm not suggesting this is what you do, but because of the fact that that's how you had voted before, the maximum amount to Catholic Charities, that they asked for 7,800, so they were given the 7,800, and we don't give agencies more than what they ask for. They have a budget set for a reason. So Alliance Against Family Violence, they asked for 10,000, but they were awarded 8,642, right? But if we gave them the match up to the 10,000, that's 1,357 for them.
Got it.
Divided evenly amongst the other three, that would mean they would get an additional $2,428, not going over what they're asked. Now, that's simply put in about dividing it out evenly, like you had, based upon the manner of which you had voted before. So that's what that looks like if you just did that again. Otherwise, please discuss where you would like the other funds to go. You can choose to put more to other agencies. You don't have to max out others. I would suggest that we don't take away the amount of money that's in the green, because those agencies have been notified and, they were told that this is what they have coming, what have you. But there is $8,642.60 that can be spent, and so that is up to you. What agencies get it?
I say spend it the best we can. It's there, and those agencies certainly do a good work, and they always testify, what they're doing for our community and our kids and our adults and our poor. So I'm all for giving them, dividing the money up.
Equally. I agree.
I'm absolutely for this. Do we need to take a vote?
Yes, however you want to vote on it. If you have a different suggestion than what's on there, you would have to outline that in detail.
Any questions? Any other?
I'm good with this. This
What
is,
about you, Rob?
No, I'm fine with that. One condition,
Yes.
those telephone numbers I got, I have yet to, speak to any of the clients. I just wanted to go out and visit them. Visit the facilities and stuff, and every time I call, it's like, maybe I'm calling at the wrong time, but I'll get with you all offline.
you mean,
Are you
like
leaving
CASA
messages?
and all of them?
I don't like talking to them.
That's
So
a
it's
great
partly
idea.
my fault
It's
too.
technology and
It's
he's
just-
not for
It's
it.
partly,
My suggestion would be, they are public service agencies, they
Right.
probably get a lot of phone calls every day.
Exactly.
They're probably not returning phone numbers that didn't leave a message.
understand.
I feel very good in saying
Go and
that if
visit.
you contact one of those directors and leave a message, that they'll get back with you.
Okay, I'll do that. That's my fault.
If they don't,
That's a great idea. I can call.
yeah,
them.
and if they don't, please let me know. I'll
So
check
for the
number
record,
and
there
reach
are
out
no
myself.
conditions.
There's no conditions. You're right.
I do want to say before you do vote on this, that if for some reason, what would happen is, no matter how you vote on this, I would be reaching out to those agencies, saying, hey, we know we said this amount, but there was some extra. Are you able to handle this now? I'm going to do that with each and every one of them, and not just assume that they can take it on. And the reason why is because they budget too.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we didn't just throw $2,600 or $1,300 towards an agency that they weren't, like, they went through a lot for them to get their budget where they're at, right? And to spend the funds abiding by guidelines that they have with other manners of their funds. So I just wanted to say that when you do vote, if for some reason there happens to be an agency and they're like, no, I can't take that extra couple $1,000, I would like it known that I'm just going to evenly divide it instead of calling you all back here for that.
Oh, I was gonna
Fair
say, well,
enough.
could we do
So,
it?
so
Could we
for
do
the
an
example,
electronic vote?
the one, go ahead, I apologize.
I was saying, could we do an electronic vote when you found that out, or
Or do we need to?
do we need
I
to
don't
meet
think
in
I'm,
person?
that we're permitted to do that.
Okay,
Right.
I think
okay.
that during COVID, that was an exceptional time.
Gotcha, okay.
So the example I'm taking is that if one of those, entities decides not to or can't or whatever, you're gonna literally go and divide that to the others
The additional.
and just apply it to them and kind of just gonna go from there. I'm perfectly
Yeah.
fine
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, just so we didn't call you back for a
No, no.
meeting just for
That's
that.
Yeah.
There's your due diligence at that point, you know, being
Yeah.
the honest broker, so.
Yeah,
So, okay,
yes.
so,
Yeah, the math will definitely all be there,
Yeah.
of course.
so let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
So say, for instance, you do that, and say, okay, let's say, for instance, CASA, and they say, oh, we can't do that. So you go and you distribute that extra amount. So then let's say you go to the next one, and they go, oh, we can't do that extra that you're putting on top of that. Then you're going, you know, what do you, I mean, how are you gonna
I would just have to keep going down the line.
until you,
Let me just say, I threw
Because
that
somebody
out
could
there
get a lot
for
of
a
money.
just in case. I do not expect them to say that they can't.
okay, okay.
I don't expect that, but you never know.
No,
If
right.
they have, you know, it's been a while since we were here and voted on those funds, and people do like to plan, so. If it did get, if I did find myself in a pickle with that, I would call you all back here and say, hey, this is where we're at.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
okay.
I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
I'm good with that.
I'm fine with Sister Paula saying spend it.
Feel like she's gone to the casino a few times.
My name is not on this list as a donor. Shall I add it? And then just give
wouldn't.
me that 1,000?
You guys have too much fun.
All right, settle down, folks.
She distributed equally among us.
Do I have a motion to allocate those additional funds as outlined in that last column?
I would make a motion that we allow administration to divide the funds up equally as advised,
And additional,
and the additional funds that have been put back into our treasurer, or back into the pot to the same agencies that we have already allocated money to give them a portion of that divided equally. As much as possible.
nice caveat, sister. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye with your name and with your vote.
I, Mary Mack.
Ralph Taylor, aye.
Charles Davis, aye.
Sister Paula Rose, aye.
Brian Keely, aye.
Motion carries. Approve the last column there as the dispersal method and amounts. Anything else?
That's all I have, unless anybody else does. Next meeting is expected for, September 11th for the caper. And a substantial amendment if I foresee it.
Yes, caveat, yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second to Ms. Mack's, motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
I, Mary Mack.
Aye, Ralph Taylor.
Aye, Charles Davis.
Aye, Sister Paula Rose.
Aye, Brian Keely.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Good work.